Right, we got a new video from History Matters. We got why did the US give up the Panama Canal? History Matters make amazing videos within the space of like 3 minutes. Right, let's get into it. Why did the US give up Panama Canal? Let's go, man.
The Panama Canal is one of history's great feats of engineering. Connecting the Atlantic and the Pacific, the canal represented a major change in trade between East and West. Right. Saving time for many states and damaging the economies of others.
It's not like the US to give it up.
States in 1914.
If it's just like historic.
Panama around the canal were under US sovereignty until 1999. Because in 1977, President Jimmy Carter had agreed to return it to Panama in return for exactly nothing. But given how useful controlling the canal...
You know what? It does make sense. It is Panama's canal, right? So why do they own it? You know what I mean? Yeah, give it back.
Now, was,
be nice.
Especially during the Cold War, why did the United States do this? Why did the USA give up the Panama Canal for free? So, since Europeans had first discovered the New World, they had dreamed of building a canal straight through Central America. It never happened because digging is quite hard, and digging through a continent is even harder. This didn't stop the French from stepping
just
up
a little
in the late
bit.
19th century, though, since they had just finished building the much longer Suez Canal. The problem with this canal was the environment. Disease and terrain meant that the cost of building the canal soon spiraled out of control, and it wasn't long until the French gave up. In stepped the USA under Theodore Roosevelt, who wanted to finish the canal to expand US influence in the region. His government tried to strike a deal with the Colombian government, but they said no. This forced him to respect their wishes and, oh wait, no, rebels. In the north of the country, the Panamanians had revolted to achieve independence, and the US decided that it was going to help them, providing that they got the canal and control over the territory around it. And the new Panama government said yes, since without US support, Colombia would have reconquered the country. The canal was finished in 1914 and it remained under US control until 1999. During this time, the canal had been incredibly useful, especially in World War II when it allowed US ships to easily cross between the Atlantic and the Pacific. And the US also used it to block communist warships in the Cold War. Plus, over the decades, the transit fee to use the canal had made the US government lots of money. Yet, in 1977, after decades of negotiations, President Carter agreed to a phased handover of the canal zone back to Panama in return for nothing. So why?
Why?
Well,
yeah, that
several
makes sense.
Reasons. The first was diplomacy with the rest of the Americas. American control of the canal zone, particularly the military bases which were there to protect it, was seen as imperialist by most nations in Central and South America. That and the Suez Crisis from a couple of decades earlier had cemented the idea that the world's waterways should be neutral. Carter wanted to return the canal to Panama to assure the rest of the Americas that the United States was going to be a good neighbour, and to also make sure that they wouldn't make friends with the USSR. Which brings us to point number 2, competition. Part of the 1977 treaty stipulated that the US would make the canal neutral to all nations, which meant letting communist navies use it too. Carter agreed to this because he was concerned that the USSR would finance another canal in either southern Panama or potentially Nicaragua. As such, agreeing to hand it over in 20 years meant that building another canal wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah.
And furthermore, the US could keep collecting
sense.
transit fees during that time. The third reason was military. The Panama Canal was important to American naval strategy since it allowed for quick redeployment of its ships to different oceans. However, in the days of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles, it was no longer as important. As such, to Carter's administration, the cost of keeping the canal outweighed the benefits, and it was decided that it would be handed over. And after this, despite some grumblings, the USA was treaty-bound to hand over the...
Basically, time has made them give it up. Like, they don't really need it no more, right? They don't really need it, and USSR, they was going to make one, so like, you know, making it neutral, you know, that helps them to not make one. And then, you know, they don't really need it for the military no more either, so like, they're chilling.
A process which would be completed by the end of the millennium, which meant that after this, Panama would go from being politically cut in half to just geographically. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching. With this
pretty good video. Really enjoyed these History Matters one. The nice and short and get straight to the point. I really do enjoy them. Hopefully you guys did enjoy too. If you did, make sure you leave a thumbs up. We're gaining super close YouTube partner. So if you guys could subscribe to the channel, it will really help out a lot. I appreciate that. If you guys do subscribe, comment down that you do so I can thank you in the comment sections. And I'll see you guys in the next video.